The reality: I'm not a man for ladies. Never existed. Never intend to be. I had to wait till the big catches had been split up, just like many of the geeky successful single men. Quiet geeks with decent money start to look nice to the remaining women as those big studs go out of style. Might it also be the other way around? The single guys begin to think highly of the remaining women after the babes and leg spreaders have been swept off their feet. 23 years ago, I got married to Naomi. While the rest of our children took the usual 9 months, our first child only took 6. Denise, my oldest, is a senior in college. Daniel, her brother, is a sophomore at the competing cross-state school. The youngest, Mickey, will be attending a private college starting in the fall. She is on a full-ride scholarship, which suggests that she is far smarter than the other two. That's greatly appreciated by my wallet. I met Naomi at an industry meeting. She distributed registration packets. I guess I was clever enough for her to find me and have lunch with me. Naomi stands out from the majority due to her substantial weight gain. She flirts as if she were a little, slender thing, seemingly unaffected by it. I have never cared what she looks like, nor am I a runway model. We had similar values and aspirations, which led to our love. Although she works, Naomi's income is only half of mine. She is mysterious. Despite her intelligence and beauty, she doesn't use makeup or pay attention to her weight. I try not to bother her, but I did note that she had 240 on her health fair report. For someone who is 5 feet 4, it is not good. I was taught early on to avoid talking about diet and face paint. Although we occasionally argue, it seldom seems to have a lasting physical impact on our lives beyond a day or two. That physical life isn't exciting at all. Missionary manner, we couple once or twice a week. Naomi has never asked me about my fantasies, and I've never wanted to know if she has any. I suppose I'm outdated because I consider those to be a slippery slope. My high school daughter Mickey was the one who initially made me aware of it. Dad, you are so illogical that I nearly wish the milkman were my dad. When Mom departed for work this morning, did she wear lip gloss? How am I supposed to know that? Does she ever put makeup on? Not that I'm aware of. So do you think she sweats lip gloss and it magically appears? Most likely not. What exactly is your point? Do you think she's putting it on for you? I had cramps in my tummy. I had been awaiting some action from you. Take a stroll and detect any sense of perfume. As I passed by with the intention of filling my glass, I could definitely smell perfume. I headed back toward Mickey. Probably not for me, huh? Klauso, there may yet be hope for you. This has continued for several months now. She started wearing cleavage-exposing tops, but when did that happen? I'm speculating that her credit card receipts show a number of recent purchases of brand new clothing. If it were up to me, I would be organizing my finances. After giving Mickey a quick peck on the forehead, I went to my study. Naomi's purchases at boutiques increased over the last 3 months, as expected, from $0 to over $200. I gave a call to a guy that plays golf with me on the weekends. His sibling practices divorce law. The lawyer had a 4 p.m. appointment tomorrow. I've put in a ton of labor to finance my child's schooling. Their prospects of realizing their dreams will significantly increase if I can send them into the workforce without any student loan debt to pay back. My own wealth does not even equal the recommended 6 months' worth of earnings as a result. Even Denise's desire to go graduate school will be compromised. My final year of college, Denise and Richard Denton, the son of the head of the company I work for, are developing a serious relationship. They grew up together and met at an employee picnic. The two have merged after going to the same high school and college. Denise is elder by 1 year. Richard is currently employed as his father's helper. Because the conversation about marriage is not progressing as quickly as she had hoped, Denise is a little agitated. I'm going to have to incur more expenses, such as paying for a wedding or her master's degree. Daniel thinks of himself as Romeo, and I haven't seen him twice with the same woman. Boys are of no use to Mickey. I have escaped all the horrors fathers have, dreading the never-ending procession of boys with wild hormones. I ought to give thanks to someone. The night Mickey pointed out Naomi's transformation, I pouted. You weave what you believe to be the path to eternal happiness. It appears that our marriage common thread has been somewhat torn away. The lawyer persuaded me to draft 3 documents: a divorce petition, a post-nuptial agreement, and a separation agreement. He advised finding a good moment to provide Naomi with her options. The separation agreement's goal was to freeze the assets at that particular moment, find the value of each of our shares and everything we had, rather than completely freezing everything. His solution was to move all I could, right now, to separate accounts. I was anxious to accomplish this. Perhaps this isn't as horrible as I'm making it seem. I was able to relax quickly. Mickey was out in the open. Naomi and I retired to the living room to watch TV after supper. Bryce, since we've saved up a little, I'm thinking about getting some Botox injections and a liposuction treatment. I thought about that assertion. What ought my thoughts to be? Is she taking care of me here? Hold on, let me get something. I entered my office and took the 3 paperwork out. I date and sign each of the 3. Here, Naomi, these are for you. What the hell is this? Came to mind after a few glances. I believe it to be rather evident. A separation agreement is the first. A post-nuptial agreement is the second. A divorce petition is the third one. I divided the savings account already. Tomorrow at this time, I'll be back. I will have the divorce petition formally served if you haven't signed the post-nuptial and separation agreements. Just because I want to make a purchase. If you believe I want to have a divorce or separate, you're crazy. What's his name? Whose name? The guy you're getting all of this done for. I'm getting it done for me, and you. BS. You had 23 years to complete this task for me. You wouldn't even take care of yourself like this till 3 months ago. What is his name? This is absurd. No other man exists. Is it another woman you're romantically involved with? No, there's another chap, then. What is his name? There is no other man. Do you remember what you wore when we went out to dinner last Sunday? Not really. Did you put on lip gloss and perfume? No. Yet each day after work, you wear perfume and lip gloss even if you didn't use them when you left the house. You either tell me his name, or I'll file for divorce tomorrow without reading the separation agreement. One could no longer contain the tears. Bryce, it's not as bad as you think. Assuming I may, which I do not, you appear to cherish his private life more than mine. Last opportunity, what's his name? Naomi. Tears and a hopeless expression didn't convince me. I stood up to depart. Jim Stevens said in a hushed tone, I'll return the next day. Sign the forms that you choose. I'm over you, you dishonest piece of shit. Bryce, not at all. Say nothing of that. Please remain, I didn't let it get that far. We should discuss this. I made my way to my bedroom and began packing my bag. Naomi was sitting silently, her hands cupped about her face. I didn't realize Mickey was standing there, but she hugged and kissed me. I'm proud of you, Dad. She can go FFF on her own if we're not good enough for her. How could I have missed all of those signs? Very simple, Dad. We've been researching conformation bias in my community college prep course. In essence, it means that you evaluate and weed away any data that contradicts your preconceived notions. Because you thought your mother would never be unfaithful, you misread or ignored the warning signs because they didn't align with your preconceived notions. You are not the first, and you certainly won't be the last. Politicians take advantage of it. They will continue to spew drivel until they manage to prick a voter. The voter disregards everything they disagree with since the politician touched on a subject that is really important to them. Mickey, that is incredible. I'll be back tomorrow at this time, youngster. Once more, I appreciate the wake-up call. I cherish you. Love you too, Dad. Perhaps I ought to have turned off my phone. Perhaps I ought to have sent it to messages. Bryce, this post-nuptial agreement is retroactive. I don't have a problem with it, Naomi. It seems to be intended for you. I hung up, counted to 3, and turned off my phone. It's not proof, but it sure made it hard to sleep afterward. I could not place a Jim Stevens when I thought back to her holiday gatherings and company picnics. A few months ago, I was out of town for the last gathering. The internet search yielded far too many results to be of much use. Perhaps it isn't even his name. It's possible that she was puffing smoke to silence me. Luckily, I had a busy day at work. Not even lunch was in order for me. Upon turning on my phone, I discovered that I had messages from all 3 of my children and nearly 6 from Naomi. Mickey had informed Denise and Daniel about their mother. I found all 3 of the children's calls to be helpful in boosting my spirits. I had not given any thought to what it was that I wanted. My true desire was no longer achievable. Obviously, Naomi didn't think I was enough. How do you get over that psychologically? Did it really matter if the adultery was only emotional? Would she decide to file for divorce? Would she accept the chance that I would never discover the reason why it was problematic that the post-nuptial agreement be retroactive? I was really cautious to hear what Naomi had to say. I received the first message right away yesterday night after I hung up. Bryce, I don't find it problematic. When you hung up, I have been reading more of the agreement. I assure you that signing this is not an issue. He and I didn't share a bed. I cherish you. Give me a call, please. After an hour, Bryce, please return home. Please. You've saved me from doing something incredibly foolish, even though I was foolish. I cherish you. This morning's first words were, Good morning, Bryce. I hope your sleep was better than mine. I sent a letter to you. It provides you with all the information. Both the post-nuptial and separation agreements are signed by me. Bryce, I don't want a divorce. I cherish you. After an hour or so, did you really need to involve the kids? We might have resolved this amicably. An hour later, I apologize, Bryce, came next. Nikki informed me that she had told Daniel and Denise about what I was doing, in addition to telling you. Bryce, we can figure this out. I cherish you. At midday, the shocking event occurred. I've decided to leave my position, Bryce. I've reported Jim Stevens, but I don't think it will be taken further. I'll see you shortly. I cherish you. When I arrived after work, there was only Naomi's car. My favorite dish, lasagna, was cooking. The dining room table was cleared, with 2 place settings and a lit candle. After organizing my belongings in my home office, I went to the kitchen to have a drink. I had only ever seen Naomi completely makeup ed on our wedding day, and she had said, You look nice. I went to the beauty shop and had them make me up because I had the afternoon off. Are you fond of it? You do a good job cleaning up. Yes, you look great, and I approve. What beverage can I offer you? The signed documents are lying on your desk at work. Could you wait until after supper to read the letter? Sure, it can all wait. There was silence during dinner, tasty but not loud. I participated with the cleanup thereafter. My belongings are now in Denise's former room. Our bedroom is yours to have. Anytime you want to have a good time, I won't stop you. Tell me when you're ready to speak. Naomi vanished into Denise's chamber. I went to my office to retire. The document bore a signature and a date. Legally, we were no longer together. To be honest, I can't say that this is what I wanted. This week, my feelings have been all over the place. Had blown a tire or two, happily ever after. Is there a way to fix it? I took a sip of my 3-finger scotch and opened Naomi's letter. Bryce, I refused to follow the well-trod path of platitudes. I was planning to do something that I would always regret because I was selfish. It all began when Jim Stevens was brought in to take over as office manager. He is a really charming individual, and his persistent flirting drew me into his web. You are aware that not everyone flirts with me. I took in all of the attention. He advised me to put on lip gloss. I'm embarrassed to say that he selected the colors. Not long later, he advised me to wear perfume. For me, he purchased the first bottle. I did play footsie with him and we did go out to lunch alone. I was intoxicated by the affection he was showing me. He advised me to dress more provocatively, so I got some clothes he would want to wear. That week, I said no to having lunch with him once more. I had lunch with him twice last week, and on Monday of this week as well. I allowed him to slide his hand under my bra as we kissed once more. That was the extent of it. Even though he kept trying to get me to give in, I refused. It was his suggestion, as you are undoubtedly aware, that I receive those medical procedures. When I tell you that this is all that happened, I sincerely hope you will believe me. Despite the fact that my actions don't seem to indicate it, I truly love you. I apologize to the best of my ability. I became alarmed when you accused me. Telling you falsehoods is the worst thing I've ever done. I believed I had kept everything from you. Maybe my fate was sealed when I lied to you. All I have to do is blame myself. You are entitled to the assets listed in the post-nuptial agreement as a result of my acts violating the terms of the agreement. If I get to keep you, then I will gladly give them up. I won't fight if you choose to get a divorce from me. I was foolish, and foolishness can have dire repercussions at times. Though a bit late, I finally get it. I sat in my chair for an additional hour. Naomi, I was going to have to use booze to induce sleep tonight. In the morning, the sun felt a bit too bright. When I picked up my phone, all 3 of the kids' texts were there. I said in unison, your mother cheated. It's too soon to tell whether of the 2 scenarios is true. Despite our formal separation, we continue to share a roof. It will take some time for me to decide what to do next. I appreciate your help. Without it, this would be relatively challenging. I adore you so much, Dad. When I was done dressing, Naomi was already in the kitchen. I could tell the full court press was still in effect by the scent of bacon. What's your schedule today? Avoiding you. I did say Naomi was intelligent, didn't I? She was wise enough not to say anything. After eating in peace, I picked up my briefcase and headed for the door. Let me know if you need anything, Bryce. Absolutely. One idea springs to mind. Take an STD test. Okay, so she's not that intelligent. Bryce, I never had sex with him. You have lied at every turn. Why do you think that now I should believe you? I will never touch you unless I have a clear STD panel. Goodbye, she said with a forlorn expression and more silent tears. I got tested today. You'll have the results in a few days if that's what you want, but it was a waste of money. I apologize for yelling at you. Anyhow, I'm leaving for supper. Is Mickey present? No, she's avoiding me too. Wise child, I said as I turned to leave. Naomi quietly gave me a clean STD report a few days later. Today was a great interview for me. Even though it would be a lateral move, I would be back at work. Did you have a strategy in place to cover costs? Are you paying them all and me giving you money? Had not given it much thought. I'll make an estimate by going through the checkbook. Am I still on your health insurance or do I need to get my own? I haven't altered anything. That is untrue. I made the kids the beneficiaries of my life insurance. That caused tears to well up in misted eyes. Life was slow. I was still unsure about my desires. Naomi was content in her new role. Our troubles didn't upset the kids because they were too occupied with their hobbies. Weeks stretched into days. When the chance arose, I said more than a few caustic things. We had been living together for little about 3 months when I raised the ante. The holiday celebration at my office was approaching. I go, but primarily because I work in high management. I made the decision to repay Naomi somewhat. When I got home at my usual time, the house was filled with the aroma of baking cookies. It would need me to change and make a quick 180-degree turn to reach the downtown hotel where the celebration was being held. Hello, my love. How did you find today's work? In the same ballpark. I'm not coming back for supper. Tonight is the business holiday party. Whoa, what is the evening dress code? In a few minutes, I'll be prepared. I apologize to Naomi. I refuse to take you. I'm going on a date. I have to change. I had no plans for a date. Mickey was with me. Her purpose was to dance. I don't usually use cologne, but I applied it tonight. It's at the downtown hotel. I'll just grab a room if I've had too much to drink or anything similar. Good night, Naomi. Naomi's expression told me I was a royal pain in the ass. Okay, that's okay. Misery enjoys having companions. It's her turn to handle feelings you hoped you would never have to. Not many people asked questions about Naomi. After a while, everyone was aware of the truth. A couple of the single women did offer some really direct flirtation, which I found entertaining. Having a willing partner for the night would have made things very easy. I wondered if I should go home for the evening. What is the threshold for pain? Nikki was prepared to go at 1 in the morning. The gorgeous but divorced 30-something Robin Lowry was intoxicated. Despite not reporting to me directly, she is part of my team. I rented a room. Price: I need assistance finding my room. Prior to Robin falling, I grabbed her. She was grabbed by Mark Franklin, who works under my supervision, from the other side. Robin gave Mickey her key. Robin was walked to the elevators by Mark and me. We hadn't even reached her room when she suddenly said, "Oh my God, I'm not feeling well." We swept her into the bathroom of her suite. She kept Mickey with her. Mickey appeared again once the noises of vomiting stopped. I think she's going to live. Robin appeared from the lavatory. Where's my bed? I will not try to refute it. I was enthralled. You guys are terrible, standing there staring at her. I have no idea what you're discussing. Mickey. Mark, how about you? Didn't see a thing. Then, after we returned to the celebration, I went around bidding my farewells. Mickey reached for her sweater and purse. She sprayed a small amount of her perfume onto my shirt. She had shared her dance moves with every man who asked. She's a woman now, 18 years old. I was pleased with her skillful use of the space. She repeatedly rebuffed unwanted approaches. The slow dances were reserved for the oldest male she could locate. I sent her home before me, kissing her goodnight on the forehead. As soon as I arrived into our driveway, the lights went out. The drapes by the windows moved. Naomi did not say hello. I slept like a log, leaving my clothing in the bathroom. When I stumbled into the restroom in the morning, my clothes were gone. I entered the kitchen after giving myself a quick brushing. Yes, you arrived home. How did the celebration go? Pretty typical. Did your date have a good time? She did, of course. She didn't seem to have missed a slow dance. Did you kiss her? Yes, but nothing materialized. Is it not something you can relate to? Bryce, damn it. I'm dying over this. I apologize. It was the longest night of my life, last night. Do it right away if you're just going to divorce me. Don't play games with me. I wish Naomi's decision had been that simple. I am unable to switch off the century that we have shared. You were dishonest. Perhaps you had shared a bed, perhaps not. That doesn't alter the reality that you renounced our marriage vows voluntarily. But you did too, last night. So, while I can't, you can. You have a nice little double standard there. Does it not work well for you? Bryce, I hope we can get through this. I'm worried you'll end up liking someone else more than me. I'm really terrified of it. Greetings from my globe. I can now tell you a little bit about what's been on my mind. I'm going for a stroll outside. I'm coming with you. It was unique. Depending on traffic, it takes me approximately 45 minutes to walk a 2-mile loop. For Naomi, this would be a first. It was completed silently. Naomi, that was nice. I am going to shower now. Can I join you? Sincerely, I believe Naomi was looking for hickeys. After drying each other off, we cuddled up on my bed. Naomi grabbed her garments. Anytime you want, stud. I should have known she would find out. I have no idea how she did. It takes a couple days at most. Are you not feeling quite proud of yourself? Mickey accompanied you to your celebration. You claim to have performed every slow dance with her. No, I meant to say she performed every slow dance. What you were hoping to hear was conveyed. So you didn't screw around with other women that night. I will never divulge. Naomi lost the color in her face. She had tears in her eyes. Naomi, it truly hurts not to know. Tell me when you can stop thinking about that, whether it's next week or 10 years from now. Go to the bedroom now. Wow, twice in a week. Get used to it if you want to stick around here. Epilogue, Richard and Denise are engaged. At the holiday party, she managed to make him envious enough to be comfortable. The savings account is gone. Naomi received nothing from her former company, but a few months later, Jim Stevens was let go. Despite the lateral move, she was promoted to shift supervisor in less than 6 months. She only wears the finer clothes when we go out together. She never wears perfume or makeup. She insisted that I go with her to her yearly physical. Naomi wanted me to know that losing weight was her doctor's recommendation. That was shrewd of her because if she had just begun working out and dieting, I would have been suspicious. She's buying a lot of clothes once more, but this time it's because she's getting smaller. Each of the 3 children remarked on Naomi in turn. We are once more a family. Eventually, Naomi learned about Robin from Mickey once more. Do you ever think about Robin? Only when we make love. That's all right, as long as you simply give her thought at that moment. I realize it's selfish of me, but her little affair has given me the healthiest physical existence I've ever had. This whole incident has taught me that although you can go past treachery, you can never truly move past it. My comment: many people absolutely hate the taste of their own medicine. Story 2. I'm a female. As long as I have a paper bag, taunts were something I had to put up with throughout high school and university. If you're not attractive, you have very few options when it comes to boys and eventually men. Don't try to make up for it by spreading your legs. My body is incredibly well-fitting and toned. It's that my mouth, nose, and eyes don't exactly fit the mold. I'm a lumberjack with my father's face and a mother's physique. I adore my father, yet he seems better than me with a square forehead, a large nose, and large ears. Makeup has its limitations. That's just the way things are. Be patient, there's someone for everyone, my mother used to remind me. Although you never truly get unaffected by insults, occasionally you will be taken aback by others. When I went into one pizza establishment to pick up my order to go, I heard the softball players say, "I'd need 2 paper bags. In the event that hers falls off, one for her and one for me." I laughed a lot and gave myself high fives while I waited to pay for my food. "Ignore them, cutie," a man who was nearly 7 feet tall shouted as he passed by. He turned to face away from them, stood next to their table, and proceeded to fart loudly. He gave them a scary look as they were about to make a scene, which made them change their minds. "I think you boys owe the little lady an apology." One cried out, "I'm sorry," but another came over to me after giving me an icy look. "I think the boys and I have consumed too much alcohol. I apologize for the hurtful remarks. I'll cover the cost." I pushed my hand back toward my billfold. "Thank you, that's very sweet. You have a nice smile, I'm Sean." I noticed that I was blushing. "Once more, thank you. My name is Sally. Can I have your number?" Though I wasn't sure Sean would call, I was mistaken. Sean lacked social skills back then and still does, and his appearance would never get him a girlfriend. Following a year-long romance following our mutual discovery, we were married. Sean always manages to make me feel unique. Following a date, we visited Sean's flat. It was enjoyable for us. Sean works for a modest firm as an architect. He moved in not long after we were married. That company's employees aren't very interested in social events. Right now, I'm employed by a title firm. I've worked at a few other places, but I've been here for the past 5 years, since our children began to drive. I handle the back office duties because I'm not the pretty person they want up front. Our 2 intelligent lads were sent off to college with pride. Really, we've never been able to put money down for retirement. If it's not auto issues, it's either house repairs or tuition. Not quite, but we do not survive paycheck to paycheck. We live in a neighborhood with a highly entertaining bunch of couples. 5 couples, all roughly our age. We call ourselves the group. Only one couple does not have a child enrolled in college, and all other couples are empty nesters. For the past 12 years, we have been sharing our struggles with each other. There were formerly 6 couples, but one separated, sold, and moved away due to marital issues. Despite Sean's failures in relationships, as he grew older and achieved greater success in his career, he began to consider himself a ladies' man. When he starts talking inanely, my pals and the women in the group just roll their eyes. For whatever reason, Sean drives a pickup vehicle with a stick gear. I believe he finds it manly looking. Stick shifters are how I was raised, so I have no trouble using his truck when I need it. During the summer, my work schedule is flexible. 3 days on the weekend and 10 hours from Monday through Thursday. Fridays are when I catch up on housework. Tomorrow is the gang's potluck supper, which we are hosting. Somewhere in the home is a very pretty lace tablecloth that belonged to my grandma. It is kept in a tube that is cylindrical. The chase was underway. I checked the hall closets extensively and found nothing, so I turned my attention to the closets in the bedrooms. The lost tube was tucked into a corner of Sean's closet. I accidentally knocked over a shoebox containing Sean's dress shoes while trying to remove it from his mess. He's not worn those in a long time. We most likely went to his uncle's funeral 6 years ago. The sneakers tumbled out as the package toppled over. After the tube was removed, I picked up the box and the shoes and was shocked, more like, really surprised, to see a few images of a lady inside one of the shoes. If these were of me, I would have been flattered, but they aren't. I battled my feelings as I sat on the bed. My rage served to stop the crying. How can the age of a photo be determined? She wasn't quite a runway model, but I think a guy can get excited about any woman. Though she's older than me, she's not youthful. I tried to find any kind of indication about who and when by working backwards. I chose to duplicate the photo that best showed off her face. I cropped the copy to only show the subject's head. My goal was to get rid of the neighbors. I started going for nightly walks around the block to get some exercise. Though I was getting my exercise, I had no luck there. I also had more time to consider what to do next. I was beginning to think that maybe his work was the next best thing to look into. I used to randomly stop by the workplace for any reason, lunch, maybe, just to see who was there. Nobody matched the picture. I experienced confrontation. I didn't find her, even though I wanted to. Our romantic lives remained almost unchanged. On Saturday or Sunday, and again in the middle of the week, we would make love. Not much is happening that would surprise the neighbors. When I'm truly craving something unique, I had almost given up looking for the nude woman when I felt the following jolt. Sean was in Jim's pool area across the backyard, shouting at the TV during a baseball game. Each of them wore a swimsuit. There was plenty of beer. My car's satellite radio had malfunctioned. Following an extended period of waiting on hold and a brief conversation with an individual speaking bad English, we ascertained that the credit card that was on file had a problem with its expiration date. Sean had given it to him. I located his pants and took out his wallet. I hung up with customer support after we resolved the issue. Sean's wallet creaked oddly when I pressed on it. I examined the wallet and found no explanation for it. I looked it over again. Yes, there was a little pop right in the middle. In the wallet, I discovered a zip pouch that, when unzipped, revealed to be a condom packet. We don't need protection because we are taking the pill. I'm not stupid, even if I know I'm not pretty. Once more, I found myself sitting on the bed and struggling with my feelings. My rage once more assisted in wiping away the tears. I experienced a brief moment of darkness, or, depending on your perspective, genius. Making cards and crafts as a hobby has introduced me to a variety of colors and inks. I discovered a vial that had a lovely permanent emerald green ink. When creating borders and writing on my handmade cards, I use a syringe pen that has a tiny needle. Any color you need can be added to the cylinder. After every usage, I make sure to empty and wipe the pen. I put on my latex gloves so that my hands wouldn't become discolored. A few weeks' worth of staining on your hands would result from a single drop of this stuff. I set up the safeguard on my work surface. I attempted to remove lubrication with my syringe, but not much came out. I combined a substantial quantity of the emerald green ink with the minimal amount of lubricant I had removed, and then I filled the packet again. I completely mixed the contents as I rolled the packet around. I sealed the tiny puncture hole I'd made near the open here tier with only a dab of glue and my hot glue gun. Using my pen, I scrawled the words "Do not use" in small print on the packaging. He's been warned there. I reassembled Sean's wallet with caution. If Sean continues to be a devoted husband, there is nothing to be concerned about. The wait was incredibly difficult because we had no idea who Sean was sleeping with or when. The neighbors should not have known anything. Says what? That old Navy guy. Sloppiness sinks ships. I called my sister, who lives many states away, since I needed to talk to someone about it. I decided to tell her. She gave me a lot of hope. She considered it the most ridiculous thing I could have done. All he needed to do was show loyalty. No offense, no injury. Sean and I lead rather routine lives. I arrive home shortly after he does, which is around 6 o'clock. Some days we go out together after I get home, and other days we meet at a restaurant before heading home. On Friday nights, we always go out to dinner. Whatever, with whomever, might have been a long time ago, and Sean had completely forgotten about the protection, was how I was beginning to think. If you believe this was an indiscretion in the past, the hurt is different and less intense. A few Fridays after I signed the protection, my naivete was dashed. You know how self-conscious I am about my weight, so get undressed and turn out the lights. I ought never to have allowed you to snap those images. Remove the safety measure. I don't need any little Seans running around as we try to conceive. Give it to me, I'm ready. The lights are out. About 3:30 p.m., Sean called to say he had to remain late. Then, at 6 p.m., he called to say he was feeling like going to the gym to work out. I think we have a runner, I texted my sister. Though I should have been crushed, I was quite proud of myself. I switched on the porch light in front. I also adjusted the door's latch. Sean would need to come beg permission to enter the residence. He would most likely be aware that I had messed with his security. I had no idea whether Sean would get violent. Years ago, we underwent remodeling and converted our 2-car garage into bedrooms. We parked our automobiles outside in the weather behind a built-in overhang on the driveway. I stood by the window, waiting. Between our house and the next, an automobile arrived and parked. Nobody managed to escape. The fact that the car stayed still for more than an hour worried me a little. Sean finally pulled into the driveway at 8 p.m. He walked slouchedly in the direction of the entrance door. His hands were a very nice green, and I could see green streaks on his face and slightly on his lips. A man got out of the parked automobile and hurried towards Sean before he made it to the porch. "You sob, you sleeping with my wife," he exclaimed, while spitting pepper spray. After distracting Sean by wiping his eyes, the man struck him hard in the abdomen. Sean passed out, struggling to breathe. The man began to labor at Sean's belt. He succeeded in yanking Sean's pants and underwear down by pushing his hands away. Now try to deny it. Sincerely, I have never heard a scream with such a wide range of pitch shift and volume. All the barking dogs in the area most likely had their tails between their legs. The man planted Sean right between the eyes as he balled up and grasped his groin. Sean collapsed backward without moving. After giving him a few more kicks to the groin without getting any reaction, the man went back to his car and drove away. Talk about being torn. Do I need to send for an ambulance? To revive him, douse him with cold water. Pour some boiling water over him. Or just turn off the lights outside. The neighbors have no reason to witness this little Martian. I extinguished the lights. 20 minutes or so later, the doorbell rang. Heavily leaning against the wall, I require assistance. Sally, I truly apologize. I made a bad mistake. Could I please enter? Sean said, not tonight, and shut the door. He yelled, I can't drive like this, which I heard. I must see a doctor immediately. I said, give me your keys, get in the truck bed, you're not riding up front with me, because I didn't want the neighbors to get involved. I shouted, move it, as Sean was having trouble getting into the truck bed. It's not my entire night. I drove him, bumping every nook and cranny, to the emergency department. I was careful to engage the clutch as hard as I could. Too bad he puked on himself. I let go of the clutch as he was attempting to get out of the rear of the truck, sending him flying. Extra of those ape cries. I drove home because he was among individuals who might be interested in him. Sean's key ring is filled with numerous keys. I placed the bunch of keys in his preferred shoebox. At approximately 10:30 p.m., I got a call from Jill, one of the group. She works as an nurse at the hospital. She was ecstatic and inquiring as to what I had done and how. She predicted that Sean would lose one testicle and suffer severe damage to the other. His little leprechaun would require testosterone therapy to get going. He was also going to be kept overnight because of his concussion. According to Jill, at approximately 3:30 p.m., a woman with green hands, lips, and tongue entered the emergency room. The woman was covered in green blotches all over. She was searching for a way to get the ink off. The woman was sent on her way, sobbing, with the words, "Time is the only thing that seems to work." I had a great time with Jill. Jill, I don't think we will be there, as a couple, at the next potluck. Giggling, what do you think? You succeed, girl. My sister and I were laughing like schoolgirls when I called her. I know that after leaving my marriage, I'll have periods of sadness and crying, but right now, I feel great. I feel no regrets. On Monday, I'm going to see the divorce attorney. I'm not going to be living here for very long. It's resulted in one positive outcome. He's ready for tomorrow since it's St. Patrick's Day and wearing green is customary. On Saturday afternoon, while I was shopping, Sean texted me, saying, "I need my keys." "You should have no trouble finding them," I replied. I discovered the ideal green blouse with an Irish design. Here's to love and laughter, and here's to me and you. I won't change my mind as long as you do, not even an instant later. After purchasing it, I went to the women's room and changed into it. I want to wear it as much as possible. Who knows what awaits me in the future? Even though I might not be attractive enough to marry again, I refuse to remain in a marriage to someone who is in need of or desires another person. As I've grown older, I've discovered that a self-assured, intelligent woman can attract a man regardless of her appearance. With my extreme confidence today, I'll be okay. My comment, OP may not be pretty to some, but her sense of humor sure is beautiful. Messing with the wrong man's wife turned out to be a bad idea, but messing around on his own wife was even worse.